It looks like Poland is just going to keep pumping out really good Netflix originals for all of us to enjoy. So Hellhole is a brand new Polish horror film that just got released on Netflix yesterday. It was its global wide release. I don't know if there was any like pre-screeners or anything like that where people could have seen it prior to, but all I know is that yesterday was the release date and that's when we all got to see it. So the film is set in 1980s Poland and it follows the story of a police officer named Marek. He's put on this case which is in regards to two women who went missing, and the best lead is this clergy that's out in fucking whoop middle of fucking nowhere. And the idea is that Marek needs to infiltrate the clergy as a priest. He pushes himself forward as, you know, this fucking father who dominates with exorcisms and things like this. Like, he comes very highly regarded. He, you know, all the people at the clergy know that he's supposed to be this fucking amazing priest, blah, blah, blah. So this whole backstory exists for Marek. And in he goes, and he's trying to find out what happened to these women. Who did it? What's going on? And each time he delves a little bit deeper into, I guess, evidence, or he's trying to work out what's going on, he starts to uncover really fucked up shit. Like, increasingly fucked up shit. And that the clergy maybe isn't as nice as they try and portray themselves to be. Like, the first night that he's there, they tell him, when it's dark, stay in your fucking room. Like, we don't leave our rooms. You gotta stay there, like, until morning. So, like, that's already a little bit of a red flag. It's like, mate, if I live here, why can't I just walk around? Like, it's a church, you know, it's a clergy. Why can't I leave? He starts to get deeper and deeper and then obviously uncovers a lot more of the truth. And then there's a couple of twists and some turns. And honestly, overall, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I don't want to say it is actually a horror movie. Like, don't get me wrong. There are horror elements in here. There's a lot of, like, gross out body horror. There's a couple of jump scares and things like that. But the film never has this huge sense of tension throughout it. Like, with a really good horror movie, you want to be watching it and you want to be, like, tense the entire time. I wasn't really tense at all throughout this film. I was actually really interested in the story because it was more of a detective story. It was similar to Deliver Us from Evil, if you've ever seen that. That one had, like, Eric Bana in it, and there was a mix of supernatural with a detective story in that film. This one doesn't follow the exact same path as Deliver Us from Evil, but it is kind of similar in the sense that you have somebody who is conducting some detective work in line with sort of a supernatural horror murder mystery type thing going on. And I honestly think that they really pulled it off with this movie. Poland have been putting out some great films recently. The people who made Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight also made this film, and I really liked Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. That was a very kind of teen slasher, gross out sort of film. This one's a lot more serious. Like, this one doesn't have quite as many jokes. It does have a little bit of humor in it, and I think the humor is really, really well done here. Like, it pokes fun at Satanists and, you know, people who have this grand scheme of the rapture and stuff that's going to happen if I follow these particular rules. Like, there is a lot of fun poking at that, but not to the point where the comedy becomes overwhelming. It doesn't ruin the flow of the film. And the film's not really that long. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. So everything happens really quickly. They get through the plot because the plot is a little bit thin here. Like, obviously, there's not a lot to go on. And when you watch the film, you'll realize that maybe they've got about half an hour's worth of plot in this film and they do need to drag it out a little bit. But the way that they drag it out is really, really clever. Like, they have a lot of cool character development sort of filler scenes rather than just, you know, scares for the sake of scares. I think that they've planned this one out really, really well. If it was me, I would have changed a couple of things about the film. I would have maybe changed some of the twists that happen in here. There's one twist towards the end which is very, very obvious what's happening, but our character doesn't seem to realize it. And it's sort of like a aha gotcha moment that the character then goes, oh, I knew that this was happening. It's like, well, you didn't fucking know it was happening because you didn't say that you knew it was happening, and shit still happened to you. So shut the fuck up. You didn't know. But look, overall, I thought everyone did a really good job. I thought the actors were really good. I thought the writing was really solid. This film is gorgeous. Like, the cinematography and the direction and the set design. The CG is a little bit weak at times when they try and kind of overshoot their capabilities. But overall, I thought this was a really, really good movie, especially for like a Netflix film. This could possibly go to cinemas. Now, it's not going to go to your big multiplex fucking Hoyts and Village and all that shit, but sort of local cinemas, like local independent cinemas, could definitely put this one on. I fucking would love to see this one in a cinema rather than just sitting at home watching it. That's why I'm going to give Hellhole an 8 out of 10. So tell me guys, has anybody watched Hellhole? If you have, comment down below, let me know what you thought about it. Yeah, this one was another surprise packet for me. I just kind of flicked Netflix on, boom, there's a new horror movie there. I'm like, fuck, when did this come out? Oh, it came out yesterday. Great, I'm gonna watch it. Flicked it on after work, watched the whole thing, front to back, didn't stop, didn't pause, nothing. Had my attention the entire time. I think that if you go into this expecting to be scared, you're gonna be disappointed. Don't go into this movie expecting to be scared. This is my PSA to you. This is more of a detective story with horror elements, and not scary horror elements, more just kind of like body horror and gross out and a tiny bit of tension, like a lot of supernatural horror going on in this film, but not to the point where it's all scares. It's not like that at all. So if you can't handle horror movies, try this one out, because I think this is probably like a good gateway horror movie for a lot of people, where they're gonna go, oh, okay, cool, I can sort of handle this. This is okay, I'm into this. So that was the review, guys. Hope you really enjoyed it. As always, click through to another video. We'll keep having some fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.